I think at this point, it's a good time to release the top 10. The Trophy Kids top 10 is as follows right here. I got Georgia 1, Michigan 2. I think I got no problem if you wanted to flip those two. I think Georgia is the slightly better team right now. Like I said, I think they're very similar. I give the edge in the quarterback room to Georgia. Both teams, though, are starting to ascend at the right time, getting right. Michigan's going to be a real big problem for Ohio State and for Penn State coming down the pipeline. But those are the two top teams in the country. I don't think anybody's necessarily that close. I think it's a clear cut 1 and 2. You could flip them either way. I don't have a problem with them. I kept Georgia at 1 and Michigan at 2. But if you were to be like, I like Michigan at 1 and Georgia at 2, I don't have a problem with that. I move Oklahoma into 3. Texas is a phenomenal win. This is a really good football team. When I look at the rest of the rankings, I think there's going to be some moving week to week here. But at this point in the season, all things considered, I think they have arguably the best, if not one of the best wins out of anybody in college football, beating Texas there. They're ramping up at the right time. I like FSU and what Mike Norvell is doing down there. I think they're a good football team. I think we gave a little bit too much credit to the win against LSU, as we've seen. That defense is absolute Swiss cheese, but that's a good football team. Penn State, really good, going to pose a problem to Ohio State. You got Washington, Oregon. That game's going to solve itself out. I give the slight edge to Washington. We'll break it down later in the week. Ohio State at 8. People are going to be pissed about that. But this team, Jim Norvell is getting that defense in the right direction. We saw that in the Maryland game. We've seen that now in the Notre Dame game. The defense is legit. The offense is not. The offensive line, Lou Holtz is right. It's soft. And there's no real game plan. Quarterback play is down. The offense seems to be, screw it, Harrison's down there somewhere and just chuck it up. And that works really well against all these other teams. But when you got to go play a Michigan and a Penn State, I don't think they're winning those games. So I give the edge there and I bump them down. It's not a complete football team. And you remove the brand name of Ohio State. I don't see a valued argument that they're better than anybody in front of them right now. They were to play a Washington, I think they lose that game. They play in Oregon, I think they lose that game. They play Penn State, I think they lose that game. They play in FSU. All right, maybe that's a little bit closer, but I think FSU squeaks it out. They play in Oklahoma, I think they're getting beat. They play in Michigan, they're getting beat. They play in Georgia, they're getting beat. So I got them at 8. They got a chance to prove themselves here, though, coming down the pipeline. Texas 9. I still think they're one of the premier football teams in the country. They lost to a really, really good Oklahoma. They're going to get another crack at it. And then Alabama moves back into the top 10. The defense is really good. The offense is going to be old school. It's certainly down, but I still think they're a top 10 team right now when you look at the other teams that are budging. I thought about putting UNC there. I think UNC is, they're starting to cook. And with Drake May getting Tez back, oh man, that's a lethal football team in the ACC. That's going to be a real problem for FSU in the ACC. So real good football team there. That's the top 10 I've got right now. Interesting week for college football, though. We got a lot of good data points. We're going to continue to get some more good data points. I'm excited for kind of the slates coming up here and the weeks we got coming up here. Like I said, I think UNC is a team that people need to look out for. They've got a really good resume right now, got a better resume than USC. Drake May is phenomenal. They got their number one weapon back in the wide receiver room. That's a really good football team. They absolutely demolished a good Syracuse football team. The Pac-12 is rocking and rolling. I don't love the ranking of Ole Miss. I think that's kind of ridiculous at this point. LSU is, man. I mean, Jaden Daniels is carrying that team, and there's not much else you can say about it. That was a great game. LSU, Missouri, a lot of fun to watch. That LSU defense is, Brian Kelly has really dismantled that defense. I thought Wyoming should have been ranked this week. It's a really good football team. And I thought they're getting some disrespect not being ranked this week. That's all I've kind of got right now off the rip. We're going to have the Friday show come out here. We've got some great games to break down. I'm looking forward to going to have some good bets. I think we're going to have a really good week betting wise. I'm starting to like the shape of the board right now. But those are just some thoughts I had on this previous week. Quick recap show. Wanted to get some thoughts out there for you. We will be back. That Miami, North Carolina game. Oh my God. That's going to be an interesting one next week. But that's all we got. We got Oregon, Washington, good old USC, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Purdue will be interesting. But yeah, it's a good week. So thanks, everybody. Hope you like, subscribe, continue to follow us here. We got some good content coming down the pipeline. And as always, peace.